What is up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Hope everybody is having a great week so far. I wanted to pop on here real quick and talk about something that's near and dear to me, and that is setting goals. And not only setting goals, but how to set goals, what goals to set, and why you're setting them, right? So I've been in multiple different sales positions over the years, and I find that when I am not performing well, it's because I don't have the right goals in mind, and when I am hitting my best is because I know exactly where I'm going, right? So how are we going to make money in sales, right? How do we do that? It's like, oh, well, you just go sell stuff. It's like, well, that's pretty much the least of it, right? Because obviously, like, that's the obvious portion. You go out, you prospect, you line up deals, you close them, you get paid. But if you don't set targets when you go out, during, before, after, like if you don't know where you are, you're not going to get anything done, right? So like I said, whenever I've been kind of in a slump, or I'm like, why am I not clicking right now? Why is nobody buying what I'm selling? Why am I struggling, right? And it's because I've lost sight of my targets, right? But I have found that when I get home that day and I sit down and I do the math, I go over the numbers of the income that I want to make and kind of break down how that looks, then I go out the next day with a very clear vision of how to get there. So I see a lot of people make this mistake. They enter a new sales position and they think, oh, well, I'm just going to go make a ton of money. You're not going to make any money if you think that, right? You're not going to make any money if you think that, because you don't know where you're going, right? It's like flying a plane. You get into a plane. If you don't know where you're going, you're just flying around, and pretty soon you're going to run out of fuel and you're going down, right? So it's very important that in any job, in any industry, or frankly anything that you do, you have to have goals. You have to have a target that you got to hit, right? And then you basically reverse engineer how to get that. You look at the average deal price, and break down the commission on that, and kind of reverse engineer it and figure out how many deals you have to get, whether that's in a day, a week, a month, a year, to hit your goals, right? So the easiest way to do that is you gotta kind of break down a couple things. One, you have to set your number. You have to set your big number, right? How much money do you want to have in X amount of time, right? So you have money versus time. So let's say, you want to bank $1 million. Let's just say, it could be different for everybody. You want to bank $1 million in the next 5 years or 10 years or whatever it might be, right? And then you break down how much commission you need each year. And then you break down the month and then the week, right? And then what you want to do is you want to take your average deal size, okay? So whether you're doing roofing sales, car sales, real estate, website marketing, whatever it is, right? I've done all those things. So you want to look at the average deal size per job, right? So let's say you're in roofing, the average roof is 30 grand. What am I going to get paid off of that, right? Let's just say you're getting paid, for all those roofers out there, what you're getting paid, right? $30,000 roof. Let's say you make, I don't know, 5 grand, right? Well, now you got to figure, okay, so I got to make, I have to sell, let's just say, 4 roofs in a month. To make 20 grand a month, that's 240 grand a year, right? With a bonus, and let's just say one extra job, you hit 250. So in 4 years, that's $1 million in commission, right? But then what you have to do is you have to go one step deeper, right? So you figured out how much money it's going to take to get to $1 million, right? It's going to take 4 years at that breakdown. But now you have to look at it and say, okay, well, how many people do I have to talk to in order to get a deal? So then you're breaking down not only the money, but you're breaking down the prospecting stage and your closing percentage, and you're really getting into that. That way, let's just say, if you're knocking on doors, right, and you're going out, you're canvassing, you're talking to people, and let's say at first it's rough, it's tough. You have to talk to maybe 30 people in order to get one deal. It's like, okay, well, if I go out in a day, I know I have to talk to 30 people, not knock on 30 doors, because half of those people might not be home. So maybe I have to knock 40 doors or 50 doors, whatever it might be. I have to talk. I actually have to interact with 30 people to get one deal. And then watch that be true, because it will be true. Like, it will be true at first. But then what's going to happen? You're going to get better. You're going to learn. You're going to learn how to close. You're going to learn how to pitch better. You're going to learn how to be more efficient with your time and prospecting and get into the right neighborhoods. I know I'm speaking in roofing terms, but this is relevant for any industry, right? So then you get a little bit better and you figure out, oh wow, now I only have to talk to 20 people, or maybe 15, or maybe 10. So you can literally predict when you leave your house in the morning, you go out, whether you're cold calling, whether you're at a car dealership and people are coming in, it's the same, guys. It's the same for any industry. But you have to know your numbers. You have to know your numbers. It's so important. If you don't know your numbers, you're that plane flying without a destination. It's like, it's burnout in the making. It is burnout in the making, dude. If you don't know where you're going or what you're doing, you will burn out, I promise you. But if you have a system in place where you know exactly what you need to make and how many people you need to talk to, and of those deals that close, do they go to the finish line, right? Because a lot of deals, the financing didn't go through, they didn't get approved, they fell off, they went with somebody else after you helped them, or things change, whatever it might be, right? You have to account for that as well, right? You have to account for that spillage, or whatever you want to call it, that drop off, okay? And then you can actually predict. That way, when somebody dips out, you're fine, because you already accounted for that. And you have 5 more deals that week that are going to go through. So then you can actually start to predict your income. And by the way, so that's kind of the math piece of it. But when you start to do that, what happens is your confidence will go up, and you won't get upset when a deal doesn't fall through, when a deal falls through, or someone's giving you a hard time, or you're not going to be gripping the bat too tight, because you have all these deals that you're working with. So keep your pipeline full, right? But it all starts with knowing the math. You have to do the math on money. You have to do the math on your KPIs. You have to understand yourself. And you can't inflate that. You have to be real with yourself, because pretty soon it will get better. If you train correctly and you listen to training programs, you listen to podcasts, you role play with your teammates, you role play with your managers. You don't want to practice with a client, with a prospect, right? I mean, we've all done it, right? But if you can just get better at the role play and figure out new ways to overcome certain objections and obstacles, and maybe that's not even with the homeowner, maybe that's mental. You start to go into this thing in your head where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm uncomfortable, I'm not closing. But if you just go back to the numbers and break down the math, the money should motivate you to an extent, right? Money's not everything. A lot of it's character, a lot of it's building skill and knowledge, and the acumen of your industry. You're building that knowledge as well, but you're doing this for a paycheck, right? You're doing this for a paycheck. So break down the numbers on the math, break down the numbers of how many people you have to talk to get one deal, and then figure out how many deals per month you need to close to get your monthly commission. Multiply that by 12 to get your annual, multiply and then divide your end goal by those years to figure out how long it's going to take you to hit your milestone. So guys, I hope this helps. Leave in the comments below what industry you're in. I'm really curious, and I would love to chat more. See ya.